All the second stage tanks now pressurized. Astronauts report it feels good. T-minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Like a furry torpedo to the jugular. This is Honey Badger Radio. Radio with bite.
Hello and welcome to, of course my phone has to go off right now. Hello and welcome to HBR Talk 397. Grow up, buttercup. I thought I muted that, but I guess I didn't. I'm your host, Hannah Wallen, here with Nonsense Annihilator, Lauren Brooks, the personification of perceptivity, Mike Stevenson.
Hello.
Richard the Lionhearted. Who isn't going to say hello? You going to say hello?
I didn't either. It's okay. Hello, everyone.
I know.
Hello.
Mike seems to be the only one that's got the hello. Hello, Richard. And the Doge in charge, Brian Martinez, who has been working in the background to make everything happen. And actually, if he wants to say hello, he can. Because we're not in Video Ninja anymore. So, there we go. But we got to recap because it's been a wild ride the last couple months in terms of back and forth in the information we've been looking at. Because if women cannot make up their minds, female journalists cannot make up their minds to the nth degree. So we started out with reading women's demonization of incels for having the audacity to experience loneliness and talking to each other about their circumstances, their experiences, and sometimes looking for ways to improve their circumstances and their experiences. Then we read an article lamenting the low birth rate and blaming it on men who won't commit. So it's bad that men want to be with women, and it's bad if men don't want to be with women. Now we're halfway through an article about why women won't commit. So it's bad if men want to be with women, and it's bad if men don't want to be with women, but women don't want to be with men. I'm glad I'm not a straight guy. Like, I would hate living like that. How do you date? It just blows my mind.
I don't date. So.
There we go. It does make things difficult.
It does feel like being a camel presented with the eye of a needle. Or is it the other way around? It's something like that. It's something along the lines of, no.
Yeah.
Thanks, but no thanks, Brad. Don't think I could do it.
It just looks like the hardest thing in the world to try to figure out.
I mean, if it's offered to me on the silver platter, then I take it. If it's not, I just leave it alone.
Yeah, and I can understand that too, because we haven't recently, but we have looked at articles in the past where women describe men as always being scary, right? And we've addressed the stupid bear meme.
It's only the ugly ones they find scary.
That's true. And the really bad thing is, it's not always the ugly ones who are scary. In fact, women got killed because they trusted the good-looking guy, right? They trusted the innocent-looking guy.
Because I scare women so much that some women will call the police on me.
Jeez.
And have me arrested.
I've met you, Richard. You are as scary as a bath sponge.
But it's like, they will find me scary and call the police, and I can't sit in the park and read a book.
Wow. That's insane. This is one that I hadn't heard before. Like, I've heard some of your stories and some of your experiences, but sitting in a park and reading a book gets the police called.
Because men can't sit in a park and be by themselves in England. Because everyone's. If you were in England in the early 2000s, there was the pedo epidemic scare done by the tabloids. I think Mike might know a bit about that.
Oh yeah, it's you all might be thinking of a bunch of racial shit while Richard was saying that, but no, it's a man sitting by himself in a park. Now, Richard just described that as though it's what the fuck is he even talking about? Just a man sitting alone in a park? Yeah, actually, a man sitting alone in a park. The average British normie will hear that scene described, and they're quite likely to think, nonce. Why would a man sit by himself in a park other than to nonce children? That's a horrific thing to say. Now, in Britain, most of us will hear this and go, "Oh, yeah, sort of." We understand the stereotype, and to some degree, we know that it's not true, but at the same time, there's sort of it's where it's going with the truth. There's absolutely no discussion about female pedophiles.
What if he sits alone at Walden Pond and writes a book?
No, we still get called pedos.
Oh my god!
You need to have a woman with you, or you need to have your own children with you with the blessing of the mother of those children.
So the book does not actually get to be written then.
No.
No.
I have to go to the park. I have to have my carer. I have to have my support worker with me when I go to the park now. So.
Pete. Well, on silver lining, I guess your support worker gets to hang out in the park for a little while and relax.
Yeah, and gets paid for it.
Yeah. But holy crap. That is just an unbelievable situation. And women
I'm not saying this like it's a point of oppression or something. It's a point of cultural almost humor. Like it has bled into the legal system to some degree. It's not like every man who sits alone on a bench is going to get arrested for being a pedo. Obviously, I'm sort of exaggerating. It's just this it's become this element in the British sense of humor that well, you know about Jimmy Savile, right?
Yeah.
A guy who wears a shell chute and sunglasses and stands outside, middle schools or lower schools. That's the stereotype of a nonce. And
you know what's sad about it is this really shouldn't surprise me, because here in the United States, there's been several news stories in the last 10 years or so of men who have been arrested because strangers assumed that since they had children with them, they must be kidnappers who had kidnapped those children. And these would be fathers with their children getting arrested because other people saw a man with children and assumed he must have kidnapped them.
That happens in the UK as well.
Yep, and with that happening, it's not even a hop or a skip, not a jump, not even a half step to get from that man must have kidnapped those children, they can't possibly be his, to a man in a place that children hang out must be there to look at the children, even if it's a public place that people go to relax. I guess you can't go to a theater alone anymore. You can't go to a bookstore alone anymore, especially, in the mall or any place where kids hang out. It'd just be...
I used to go to this one cafe by myself in the place where I go. I still go there occasionally, but no one really bothers me there. So because they know my face, so I just go there if I need a break from everything.
Yeah, you can be by yourself as a man as long as you blend into the background.
Yeah. If people notice you, then it's a problem.
Yeah, don't express any emotions or anything.
And
like women do.
I'm the type of person who don't blend into a background.
Yeah, see, I need to teach you my power of invisibility.
Only 2 women who are 20 to 40. I'm invisible to.
There you go. So you do have some of it already. So I have the photographer's power of invisibility. So I'm not really there, and I'm not trying to take your picture, so you shouldn't notice me. And it works, believe it or not. Because there's usually something else going on that's much more interesting than the idiot with the camera. But
well,
but,
I don't have that luxury of invisibility. I'm quite striking. I just have those one of those faces that people just go, "Who is that guy?" I want to get to know it. I'm being a dickhead, obviously.
Didn't Robert?
Well, go ahead,
sorry.
Richard.
Didn't Robert mix you up with Sargon?
Yeah, that would be different. I think you guys look pretty different from each other. So, unless you were talking about me, and then we look dramatically different from each other. So far as I know, he doesn't have boobs.
When it comes to the mainstream media trying to describe those of us who criticize feminism, a lot of them have got confused. They thought Sargon was me. They thought this is just some guy with a beard on the internet making fun of feminists, and
well, that's true. People think I'm from Canada.
They don't quite know the difference. They think there's just one guy. The entire MRA, you might call him.
Yeah, the MRA. Oh yeah, which one? But yeah, no, people think I'm from Canada, so because Karen and Allison are from Canada, so I must also be from Canada. But I got news for y'all: Ohio has not been part of Canada since the Revolutionary War, so you can quit with that. But
the hacker known as 4chan.
Yes, there we go. Or the hacker known as 4H. That's a little too meta. But in the meantime, we got to get to it. But before we get to it, we got to do what we got to do.
Have we still not done the preamble? Oh shit! Sorry.
We interrupted the preamble for a more fun preamble.
All right.
Honey Badger Radio dishes out a smorgasbord of thought-provoking discussions. And as experiences, both recent and long past, have demonstrated, the provoked thoughts are fighting back. They made it clear that for people like us relying on third-party payment platforms like Patreon to fund our work is treading on thin ice, or building our house in the path of a rapidly growing wildfire. In light of this, we strongly encourage our supporters to switch at least their support for us to feedthebadger.com, the most stable way to help us out. And if you want to tip us directly instead of relying on any social media platforms tip jar, the link for that is feedthebadger.com/justthetip. As always, the same risk applies to our social media platforms, which is why you should further provoke the thought police by tracking our thought-provoking discussions on honeybadgerbrigade.com, where you can find your way to all of our content, as well as a link to feedthebadger.com in the drop-down menu at the top of the page. And speaking of tipping, we got one, but on YouTube. Crit U60, no, that's U60, gave us $4.99 and said, broke up with my girlfriend and have no friends at all, watching you guys to cope. So, well, hopefully we're helping. That kind of sucks. That sounds rotten. Although, most of the time when you have a breakup, it needed to happen, and you'll find a better situation on the other side of that after you get through the part where you don't like it. So
don't cope, just breathe.
Yeah.
Well, I guess there's seething. I guess the difference between coping and breathing is seething. But
depends on where you broke up
as fast as you can, and just breathe. If you feel like you're coping, just breathe. That's what these fucking Zen masters say, or some shit, something like that.
Well, there is some truth to it, but the real thing to do after a breakup is take a step back and focus on the things that you like to do and that you want to improve about yourself. And, just the stuff you want to work on. You want to get better at something than you are right now, whether it's some athletic thing or some artistic thing or something to do with your job or, anything like that. Do that. Focus on that. Throw your energy into that. And every time your mind starts to wander something that makes you unhappy, just take that and work through it for a minute and then turn around and take the anxiety, the excess energy that comes from that anxiety, and focus on something else. And that seems to be the most effective way to survive a breakup, or at least in my experience. I've been through quite a few of them, and most of the time it was, I didn't even have anybody to be mad at because it wasn't that kind of breakup normally. I don't think I ever really broke up with anybody in anger. And I don't think anybody ever broke up with me in anger. But it still hurts, right? So you have to find other things to... It's not so much that you're distracting yourself from the pain. It's that because you're still working through it. It's that you're not letting it get in your way. And you're not making it the primary focus of your life. Because if you do that, it takes longer to heal. It's like picking a scab off of a wound over and over again. It'll heal faster if you leave that on there and just focus on something else. And so that's the best thing to do. But then we also have, this one's not paid, but Richard BR asks, is Canada part of Ohio, though? Y'all know it's all Ohio. Always has been. So, yes, Canada must be part of Ohio. But with that...
I am from Ohio, and I am from Britain.
Yep, that is correct.
In fact, I am from ancient Mesopotamia, and I am from Ohio.
You are all from Ohio.
Ohio.
And by the way, Ohio is a greeting in Japan. So even back in the day, they knew. So this is where we were last
kind
week.
of a greeting in English.
Yep. Depending on what part of the United States you're from, it's Ohio, and it is a greeting. But this is where we were last week. This is where we finished off, longing for personal growth, and this is something that, I don't know if I finished the opener or not, but like I said in the low bar, we're halfway through an article about why women won't commit. Women are immature. Women most affected. And this is... Nothing says this more than the longing for personal growth paragraph that we just read. Because like I said last week, you do that your whole life. You have personal growth your whole life. It starts the minute that you realize you're not alone in the world, and you start dying when it stops. And it's I've even seen people with dementia experience personal growth. They've changed things about themselves in order to survive the dementia, for lack of a better term, lack of a better way to say it. So yeah, it's kind of silly to say that you can't get married because you want to get your personal growth done before you get married. So now we are at number 6. Past baggage and fear of repetition. This is going to look, I think, a lot like the one where they said relationships don't last. Instability of the relationship. Remember, we pointed out in regard to that somewhere between 69% and 80%, depending on which law blog you read, of divorces are initiated by women. Mostly not due to the man cheating or abusing the woman, but because she's bored, she's resentful of having to do housework, or she cheated. because she got bored. So past baggage. Our writer here says, I carried the scars from a past relationship for a long time. The emotional turmoil, the trust issues, the hurt, they all lingered beneath the surface, much like a healed wound that still aches. Melodramatic much?
The fact that it healed is what's important. See, I'm still staring at this subtitle of fear of repetition.
Yeah.
And there's all kinds of things you can have fears about. And yeah, I get it that life is full of repetitions. It's like having trypophobia, like a fear of seeing lots of tiny holes in a thing. Like a pomegranate or a crumpet. People have fears of buttons and stuff like that, and so I can sort of understand how you can have a fear of repetition. But this is what so many theologies across the world have tried to heal in people. This fear of repetition. That you're just going to get stuck in a loop, and there's nothing worse than getting stuck in a loop. But
Yep.
Everything is loops. Every part of your body is made of loops. If only Undead Will was here for me to talk about the loops like this. But like all life is loops. Just like all computers are loops. And all relationships between humans and computers are loops. It's literally everything is repetition. It's just a case of how tight can the repetition in your conscious understanding be before you get too stressed, and how loose can the repetition be in your conscious sense of continuity before it feels too boring. And that's really all it is. Everyone has a fear of repetition. It's like everyone has a fear of being buried alive. Yes, that would be awful, but you don't need to let it ruin your life, like, because you're unlikely to be affected by being buried alive, and you're unlikely to be affected by repetition of any particular frequency, unless you push against it in the direction of the other extremity of revolutions per minute or something. You know what I mean? Does anyone know what I mean?
Yeah, kind of, sort of. Like time is often perceived as a spiral in the way that people talk about it, where history doesn't repeat itself. It comes back to a point where it mirrors itself. There are parallels throughout history, and your life is like that as well. And if you think of it this way, you have a birthday every year, but it's not the same birthday that it was last year, right? And you have a Christmas every year, but it's not the same Christmas that it was last year. And you have every holiday is like that. Every week you have a Monday, but it's not the same Monday as it was last Monday. And there are different ways you can spiral in your life too. You can spiral out, you can spiral up, you can spiral down. And it's better if you spiral up than it is if you're spiraling down. If you're ever improving as you go. But I think most of us, our spiral probably looks like a slinky gone haywire, and sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down, and sometimes it goes ballistic. But in any case, it is something, it fits in that this woman, if you look at what she says here, the only way for you to be able to spiral up instead of spiraling down, spiraling out, or spiraling out of control is to learn from your experiences. So maybe when you're in high school, the crazy chick, the manic pixie dream girl. Well, it seems really hot, right? And she's a lot of fun. And so you date her, and you realize very quickly what a bad mistake that is when she has no stability and she's not trustworthy and she gets bored with you and treats you like a disposable thing and throws you out in the rain like the cat in Breakfast at Tiffany's. And then you find out that she has a boyfriend and she was just playing around with you anyway. So you learn from that you should be a little bit leery of anybody that seems like the manic pixie dream girl. And similarly, if you're female, you date the rebel without a clue, and it turns out that he's not just moody toward his parents, and he's really actually unfocused, and he's really actually irresponsible. And that's not as much fun when you're the one cleaning up the messes. And so maybe the bad boy, maybe the rebel isn't your type as much as you thought he was. And you learn, and as you spiral up, the next time that you make a relationship, it's with somebody that doesn't have the qualities that you have identified as red flags. And each time that you make a new relationship with somebody, you have learned red flags to watch out for, and you have learned characteristics that you like that you want to find in somebody that doesn't have those red flags. And you can. And so you're spiraling up, right? But I've seen a lot of people spiral down and spiral out of control with relationships. And I think a big part of it is that they cannot take responsibility for their stupid choices. Even if all of the bad in the relationship was the other person, it means that you chose poorly when you chose to be with that person. And I've chosen poorly a couple of times. And then I've chosen not so poorly, but still not quite right a whole bunch of times. Those breakups always hurt worse, right? It's much harder to leave somebody that you're not mad at and that you don't think is a problem for you than it is to leave somebody that maybe you're a little afraid of, or maybe you're mad at, or whatever. But this individual here, she talks about her scars and she talks about fearing that she's gonna make the mistakes again, right? Making the same mistakes again. Fear of repetition. Well, you have fear of repetition if you don't do the self-examination that it takes. Gosh, I should have realized, this guy that just casually lies to everybody else might also lie to me. And gosh, I should have realized that this chick who acts like nothing is important might not treat me like I'm important to her. And it's a difficult thing to do. Saying I made a mistake. I screwed up. I should have looked a little harder. And I should have either been ready for this or not attached myself to this because this wasn't right for me. And maybe there is somebody out there that's the perfect fit for the bad boy or the manic pixie dream girl. But you have to learn whether, you're that person or not. And for most people, you're going to find out you're not. And then you have to learn what went wrong, what you did wrong, and how to make the next relationship without making the same mistakes. So this fear of repetition, that's her admitting, I'm just going to make the same mistakes over and over again until, something works out by chance. So of course she's afraid to get married because she's not going to be careful to find a partner that is right for her, that she can be right for, and that she can make a real relationship with, that she can commit to. She says, entering into a marriage requires unwavering trust, an open heart, and the ability to lean on and trust another person. So she's mentioned trust twice. And it's unwavering trust isn't right. Unwavering trust in the character of your partner, yes. But you have to also be able to understand your partner's weaknesses. And it's your job as a partner to somebody with weaknesses to be there when your partner needs to lean on you. You're not just leaning on your partner. She didn't get that part. She wants to have unwavering trust for him. And she wants to lean on him. But she's not ready to handle it if he has to lean on her. That's very telling. And this is something that I think a lot of women have an issue with. Right? What if he's shoveling snow in the winter and he hurts his back and he can't go to work for like 2 weeks? And that's an entire paycheck. Now he doesn't have that paycheck, and you have to budget on what you're earning. Or you have to really bite the bullet if you're a stay-at-home mom, right? Maybe you have to borrow from your parents or his parents, or maybe you have to lean on your savings. And what if that happens? Right? Are you good to go? Are you ready to have him lean on you a little bit? Are you ready to wait on him hand and foot if he can't get out of bed for that first week because his back is so racked that he can't do anything? Like he can't get to the bathroom by himself. What if I'm going to tell you how my grandparents met. My grandfather worked for Chicago Bridge and Steel. He was a welder, and he was working on a project where part of what was going on involved moving a cylindrical piece of cement the size of a drainage ditch liner, right? And they dropped it on him. We're talking...
oh my God.
Yeah, we're talking a piece of cement that was like 5 or 6 feet long, and the diameter of the ring, the edge of it, was a couple 4 feet, something like that. And it broke his leg in several places, crushed a couple of spots. He ended up in traction in the hospital. And he was in traction for quite some time in the hospital. My grandmother was the nurse that was working his floor on the day shift. And that's how they met.
Oh, wow.
Like, she didn't, she took excellent care of him. My grandmother was an amazing woman. Big shoes to fill. I can't even begin to tell you. But she took care of him their whole life. He had all kinds of health problems after that because of that. Even though, he prided himself on being tough and strong, and he was very tough and strong. But after that injury, he had your body doesn't like having stuff like that happen to you. So every system in your body turns around and says, "Oh, you're going to do this to me? Fine, fuck you." So he had, blood pressure issues. He had gastric issues. He had difficulty walking. That leg pained him his whole life. He walked with a limp when he was an older man. But he walked until he was 94. And he passed away when he was 95. And Grandma always took excellent care of him. He was always in really good health. And none of the serious health problems that you see baby boomers and Gen Xers getting in middle age happened in their household. And so she already was prepared. If something happened to him, if he went through some other trauma and he became disabled or he was laid up for a long time, she was ready. She knew what to do. She had him covered, you know. And I saw both of my parents see each other through those, not that bad of an injury, but those types of injuries. I saw my aunt stayed with my uncle and took care of him through a catastrophic injury just as bad as Grandpa's, but with his arm. His hand got caught in a rubber press, and it crushed it all the way up to the elbow, down to a half-inch thick. And then they had to roll it back out. It was just a horrific injury. It destroyed his bone and his bones in his arm, and they replaced them with metal, and that was a disaster. They should have just amputated, but they had this really neat experimental surgery they wanted to do.
Oh,
So
God.
she saw him through the injury, she saw him through the recovery, she saw him through another injury that was that the metal bent in the middle between his elbow and his wrist. And so there was another whole serious injury there. And then she saw him through his body rebelling because of that. He became a diabetic. He lost bones in his feet and had them replaced with ceramic. She saw him through peritonitis. He ended up with a severe case, bad enough that he lost his stomach and had gut pain for the rest of his life and had to eat really small meals for the rest of his life, like smaller than what bariatric surgery patients go through. And she saw him through addiction over and over and over again. Addiction, recovery, addiction, recovery. And they live their whole lives like that. You know, today women don't think twice about, well, if you get laid off, I'm going to leave. Right? But I come from women who stay. And you have to be prepared to be the person being leaned on. And not just the person leaning. So, of course she's not ready to get married. Why would she be ready to get married if she can't even imagine that trust has to be tempered with realism and preparation, be preparedness to be what your partner needs just as much as you expect him to be what you need. So I dried up the room, didn't I?
No, I think we're all still here, but it
I'm
seems like
impressed that we're still on number 6.
Yeah.
Can we 7 it?
Yeah, we can.
6, 7.
We're not
Oh,
even done
God.
with number 6, though. There we go. 6, 7. Oh, shit. So she says, for someone who's been hurt before, like me, the fear of everybody's been hurt before, lady. The fear of history repeating itself can be a real deterrent. The thought of going through the emotional turbulence of a potential heartbreak or deception, especially under the legal binds of marriage, is downright scary. That's reason number 6. Past baggage and the fear of repetition. Blah, blah, blah. So number 7. She's afraid, right, of her past baggage coming back to haunt her. Her getting hurt. She's afraid of having to be the person who's trusted and not just be the person who trusts. But she's also wanting flexibility and spontaneity. She doesn't want to be flexible for him, but he'd better be flexible and spontaneous for her. She is the manic pixie dream girl.
Why can't he be 4 different people? Now, like immediately now.
6 different people.
Was that 3 6s?
Yeah.
Yeah, and 6 seconds ago. That's how spontaneous we need you to be. Be all of the people forever ago.
So women want an emotional tampon, somebody that's good, that they want an emotional tampon and a tape recorder all in one.
Don't forget a daddy.
Yeah.
They gotta have a daddy. As if you got daddy issues, then you need him to be your daddy, but you're gonna resent him for it the entire time.
It's kind of cringe.
Yeah, it is. It's more than kinda. It's extremely cringe, and extremely common, and extremely unfortunate.
Some days I'm glad I'm invisible to women.
It can be useful. It can be very useful. Oh, let's see here. Whoops, I just lost it. Damn it. There it is. In our there it is. In our Super Chow chat, we got a chat from Meredith G. Super Chow. Gave us $5 and said, HBR Talk 397, honey for the Badgers. Thanks for the thought-provoking conversation.
I'm surprised those $5 haven't gone up with inflation.
It hasn't got what hasn't gone up with inflation?
The $5 that Meredith gives every chat. I'm surprised it's gone up with inflation.
Oh, well, sometimes paychecks don't go up with inflation either, so there you go. I know we actually had to appeal to the president during the first Trump administration for mine to go up. Direct support professionals their wages stagnated under the Obama administration for quite some time, and I think we got our first raise under Trump, and it was more than we'd had the last several raises. So it's sometimes that happens, especially if you have a bigger controlling entity that affects your wages, like a union or the fact that it's paid by insurance and then Medicare gets into it and all that kind of stuff.
The doctors in the UK.
Go on.
The doctors in the UK are going on strike soon as well because of low pay.
Oh, that's who you need to go on strike. Cecil Pete's. Go into the ER. Well, sorry, we can't help you. There's no doctors here. Where are they? They're outside picketing. Mike, were you going to say something?
I actually forgot. I was sat here thinking,
no.
what the fuck was it? It was really elaborate. It was so clever, you guys.
Sorry, Mike.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's fine. I wouldn't have remembered it anyway. Let's fucking move on.
Oh, see, you have to start writing things down.
I know. This is why I write things down before I say them, like on the Tuesday.
That's why I'm razzing you, because you usually do. So she goes on. Let's not forget about the thrill seekers, the spontaneous spirits, the wanderers who seek to curve their own paths. Maybe she meant carve their own paths and she just can't spell. Because, I don't know, anybody could curve their own path. You just turn. For these women, the structured institution of marriage can seem like a limitation. This is an interesting perspective, and I hear this from feminist women all the time. And there is not a damn thing that I ever wanted to do when I was single that was like, I want this with all my heart. I want to do this, that I couldn't do as a married woman. There were things I was going to settle for if I didn't find, a partnership that I could forge with a partner, with my husband, and get married. I think if his ex-wife hadn't left, I don't think I would have found somebody else, and then I would have settled for wandering the country in an RV. That was my second choice, but that wouldn't have been something that I would have preferred. And it's not something that I like, oh gosh, I wish I could have done that. I like where I am and what I'm doing quite a bit. And so I don't know, it just doesn't make sense to me that somebody would think that getting married is the end of their life. Like, she's talking about getting married like you are joining a convent or something. Doesn't it sound like that? Like, she's talking about it like you're signing up for something that somebody else has control over your life and you can't make your own decisions anymore.
Yeah, it's like she's throwing a funeral for her vagina.
Yes. Oh my God, that is the absolute perfect way to put it.
That's what marriage is for women. They will say the thing is dying, or they're gonna put it on lockdown.
That's really hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. Throwing a funeral for her vagina. For these women, the structured institution of marriage can seem like a limitation. They treasure flexibility, the ability to move cities on a whim,
Her
switch
vagina can't be.
careers. Oh, go ahead.
Her vagina can't be that good.
Yeah,
Because it's
I'm sorry, but
like Lauren said, it's an eulogy.
Yes.
there we go.
This whole article is a eulogy.
Yes.
That it is. That it is. Moving cities on a whim. Like, how many times does a mature adult do that in their life? Just like pick up your heels and be like, I'm going to go live somewhere else. I don't like it here.
I mean, I've done my fair share. I mean, I did move from New York to California on
But
my
on a whim?
own. Well, yeah.
See, I
Yeah.
haven't. I don't get that.
I went to a New Year's Eve party in California, and I just fell in love with it, and 3 months later I was there.
See, I would be afraid of California though anyway. There aren't very many
Yeah.
things that scare me but earthquakes. Like, you can't hide from an earthquake, you can't fight with an earthquake, and you can't run away from it.
That is true, and I would not to do the cliche thing and say it's not that bad. Everybody's experience is different,
Yeah.
right? So it's a subjective thing, and I'll say that I've been through earthquakes over there, and the ones I went through were mild, of course, right? But if there was ever a big one, like I forget the name of the one that happened over there, but if I had to go through that, oh yeah, no, I'd be packing up and getting the fuck out of there quick fast. If I survived, right? Let's throw that
Yeah.
caveat in there.
See, that would make me move on a whim. But the whim would be, holy shit, this place just got scary. I'm out of here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Every time I've moved, there's been a reason for it. I moved for a job. I moved to be with somebody. I moved to go back and stay with my parents for a while and pick up the pieces after I made some stupid choices. And then I moved so that my husband's ex-wife could not break up his family, him from his daughters, and our son from his sisters. But not ever just because, gosh, I don't like where I am and I want to go someplace else. There's always been, it's never been on a whim. I've always planned ahead, at least for a few months before moving. Like the emergency move, we got to move close to where she's going to be. That one was only a few months. And the got to go back home and pick up the pieces. That one was only a few weeks. But most of the time, like, it took me 3 years to decide where I wanted to go to university. And I wasn't even moving there. I was just going to be staying there during the school year and then coming home for the summers. Right. So There was a lot of factors to weigh on where that was going to happen. But flexibility is not my thing, I guess.
I've only ever had to move because I had to move.
Yeah.
Do people like move when they don't have to move? Is that a thing? I didn't know that was a thing. Wait,
Indeed
really?
it is. Yes.
Oh wow.
One thing I have learned over the years of having to move, the less shit you have, the easier moving is. The more shit you have, the more people are not available to help you.
Right.
Or the more expensive it is to get someone to help you, really.
Yeah.
Because like there are people who will help for pay, right? But not if the job's too big. And then there are companies that'll help for pay, but if the job's really big, it gets fucking expensive. So, but yeah, switch careers. Now that I have done. Well, not exactly, but sort of. Or take off for a solo trip without having to consider another person's plans or needs. And switching careers for the hell of it is not something that I've really done a lot. What I usually do is take on a second job because it's interesting and I want more money. And a lot of times, and I want more money is actually secondary in the choice of job. Like, gosh, I really want to try this out, and the money would be good, and I can do this and this and this with it. But there was a period of time where having 3 jobs was a necessity to take care of my family, and at that point in time, I just did whatever was available because that's what you do when you need money and your kids need food and clothes and stuff like that. Well, at least as long as you care enough to try to not be on welfare for their whole childhood. But she goes on, right, with for a solo trip without having to consider another person's plans or needs. And I think that we have hit the actual bullseye in this sentence. Without having to consider another person. What do you
Yep.
guys think?
I saw that. I read ahead a little bit before you, and it's just like, well, then why? That right there just tells you you are not ready for any kind of relationship if you do not want to consider another person's needs, you selfish bitch.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus Christ. She just and I don't understand it because the thing that you get with having the relationship and the marriage or whatever and caring about another person's needs is that you get the same in return.
Yeah.
She just does not understand reciprocity. I don't get it. She is infuriating.
It is
Infuriating.
really kind of gross. It's actually kind of upsetting because there have been times where I've gone places to do things, like going to ICMI, and I haven't been able to take my family with me. And the whole time I'm there, my husband's name is Brian, and the whole time I'm, oh, Brian would really love to see this. Oh, Brian would really love to see that. I really want to. I've got to bring Brian with me the next time. I've got to find a way, and no place was that more just driving me nuts than when we were in Australia. And I was just the whole time, like every time we turn around, there was something cool that I wish that I could have shared it with my husband, but getting him there would have been more than we could have afforded, and getting me there was funded with donations, so it wasn't like we could ask.
Yeah.
That would have been a lot to ask, but it was cool to get to have him come to ICMI 2019 when we were in Chicago and get to see what the movement is like and what I do and what it's like when I'm at one of these things and I meet people and talk to them and everything. But it would someday, we're gonna have to save up so I can go show him all the things I saw in Australia. If the country doesn't destroy itself with social justice first.
Oh God, right?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
UK is headed down that way as well, because the military is getting defunded by Rachel Reeves because it doesn't have enough female soldiers or head of departments.
Holy shit.
Yeah, without a military, you'll have an easy time defending your country, won't ya? Jeez, oh Pete.
Oh, and the UK Parliament are gonna ban porn outright as well because of all the females.
Yeah, then they'll have this big hue and cry about, all the out of work porn stars like can't feed their uh illegitimate kids, right? You like, oh
Because
no, we're
the Labour
starving.
because the Labour Party has the most female MPs in their party. So
I swear nobody is expert at shooting their nose off despite their face compared to women, right? Nobody but women. And nobody else makes the kind of money women make for something as it's and I wouldn't call it necessarily lazy because you have to keep up a certain level of appearance and you also have to have a certain amount of social battery power to be involved in any type of modeling, much less pornography or any type of acting, much less pornography. You have to you're being filmed while you're vulnerable in that situation and everything, right? So it's not like it's lazy, but it's definitely not as labor intensive as building roads or even working at a convenience store or as a healthcare professional, even at the bottom rung. In fact, especially at the bottom rung. So for some women, it is kind of an easy ride. Even though I will not say that it's not work because it is. It's still an easy ride in comparison to a lot of other things, and especially given the fact that a lot of viewers will accept a lot of reality if a woman makes it her shtick, her thing. This is what I do. I don't wear makeup. I don't do this. I don't do that. And they're getting rid of it. Right now, women will not be able to do that for money if they live there.
they're getting rid of some like subgenres of it, not
Oh,
completely.
not all of it, huh?
No,
Just
but
some stuff.
they're getting rid of the subgenres of porn that
Well,
people
that
like,
starts.
and that's how it starts. So,
Yeah,
oh,
that's how it
and
starts.
you guys in America, you gotta get the Online Safety Act as well.
They're trying. They're trying, and I hope it doesn't work. They're using. Oh, it's for the children, right? They're using. It'll protect the children. It'll protect the children. But here's the thing: there is nothing you can do. No amount of control over the internet. No amount of safety protocols that you can demand from the internet will make your child safe unsupervised on the internet. You are completely helpless as a human being to make that happen. Okay? Your government is helpless to make that happen. The only way, if you want your child to be safe from exploitation on the internet and safe from being exposed to things that he or she shouldn't be exposed to, don't let them get online when they're little, and don't let them use the internet unsupervised when they're not adults. Right? That is the only pathway to online safety for children. And the only pathway for online safety for adults is to recognize that when you are on the internet, anybody and everybody can see anything and everything you post. Right? So if my family was going to go to Hocking Hills State Park for a week, which we haven't done in years and I wish we could, if we were going to do that, I would not post anything about it. There would not be nobody would know ahead of time. There would not be any information out there. Nobody would know that my apartment was going to be uninhabited and unwatched. You might get to see pictures from the vacation after it happens if we get to go do something like that. I might post those, but I wouldn't let people know until after the fact. Because I don't want people knowing that they can get in undetected and take my shit. It might not be anything that you could sell for much, but it still means something.
Still your shit.
Still my shit. I don't want my windows broken, right?
Right.
I don't want my door broken down. So I bet none of you know what my kids look like. None of you probably have seen any pictures of them as kids or as adults. Well, you might have seen Raven.
Yeah, I met ICMI.
Yeah, you met Raven at ICMI, and he was in once he was a teenager, he asked to get involved with some of the stuff I was doing. He was in one of my videos, and he read some lines for one of my openers, but I really didn't let him do very much until, he turned 18, because I really didn't want his face out there. I didn't want people to know who he was or what he was doing, because he was a kid. And kids should be protected. That is online safety. And as an adult, you should be able to protect your own privacy. If you don't care about your privacy, that's okay. That's your business, right? But every time that you don't care about your privacy, you're taking a risk. Like, if my medical insurance company gets the right to cancel me for having pre-existing conditions and such, for instance, and they regularly listen to this show, I'm dead meat. Right? But you can't, there's no law you can pass to make people safe on the internet. It's not like streets. I don't understand why people think that, well, I say people, women think that you can regulate the internet into some degree of safety. And they're going to usher in laws that will actually make it more dangerous to be online and get you surveilled more, get you treated as a criminal preemptively when you haven't done anything. There's already instances of people being excluded from things because of their political views, people being visited by police, even in countries where they're allowed to say whatever they want. Even in the United States, there have been people who have been visited by law enforcement for saying things that are non-violent and non-threatening, but politically oppose the administration that was in place at the time. There's no such thing as online safety, right? There's only self-defense. Just like there's no set of laws that can make you safe on the road. I know people are going to be like, oh no, speed limits and stop signs and stoplight. That's you, right? Taking cues and cooperating with a language that is spoken on the road. The road language is, it's this other person's turn. You wait when the light's red, and it's your turn when the light's green. And as long as people choose to adhere to those laws, things go the way they should. As long as people choose to adhere to speed limits, and everybody does it, and people choose to drive safely based on the weather conditions, and everybody does it, there are no serious accidents between vehicles, right? But the minute that you have somebody who chooses to behave like a dipshit on the road, and speaking of you, Beaver Creek, that leads to all kinds of shit happening, and it sucks. The people die. It's not safe. You're safer in an airplane than you are in a car. You're safer in a metal tube flying through the air at 30,000 feet than you are on a set of wheels moving down the road at 35 miles an hour in a residential area. So, and God forbid you're on a motorcycle, because then you have to contend with people who think you don't belong on the road. But or a truck, because then you have to deal with people that don't realize how the laws of physics work and how much heavier your vehicle is than theirs, and what will happen if they brake check you and you can't stop and you squish them. But yeah, safety nets are not usually real. Every time women push for a safety net like this, and it is women, every time women push for a safety net, oh, we gotta have this safety net. Think of the children. Think of the puppies. Think of the little old ladies. Do it for grandma. Every single time it turns out to be a leash. Not a safety net. I think we have enough leashes. We need to start taking some off. But so she goes on. Marriage in its traditional sense, right? This is in its traditional sense. So apparently she's thinking of some other kind of marriage. Requires a certain level of stability and predictability, which kind of sounds like adulthood to me.
Right.
But for you have to be dependable. I have to be dependable. No, I don't want to be dependable. I'm never getting married. But for those who thrive on uncertainty and freedom, the very idea of settling down can feel stifling. She thinks she's the manic pixie dream girl. There you have it, reason number 7. The unsuppressed desire for flexibility and spontaneity. With just one more to go, let's dive into our final reason. But before we get there are two kinds of manic pixie dream girls, right? There is the actual manic pixie dream girl, all right? She is a little girl, a child, in an adult woman's body. She might be a well-behaved child in an adult woman's body, right? But and she's adorable until you have to depend on her for something. But she is still a child. She's not an adult. There is no manic pixie dream woman. And the reason is because when you become an adult, you have to be reliable. Other people have to be able to count on you're going to do what you said that you were going to do. And you're going to be where you said you were going to be, where you promised to be, where you agreed to be. You're going to pay your rent, right? You're going to obey the laws against getting into fights, violence, and all that kind of stuff. You're not going to go off the rails and just do everything on a whim and pretend that there are no consequences for any of your actions. If you can't be that level of an adult, then you're not ready for a relationship, right? The other kind is not just unreliable, but she's lazy and irresponsible, a little bit stupid, and she embraces the manic pixie dream girl trope look at me, I'm spontaneous and free and fun. But actually, she's just lazy and unaccountable and stupid. Like it's kind of like the guy who is the hero trope, and maybe to his own detriment, versus the guy who pretends to be the hero trope, but he's actually just wanting to engage in violence, and he finds that to be a handy excuse. This is pretty much the female version of that is the chick that uses the identity to make herself sound unique and special, but really she's just lazy and stupid.
The manic pixie dream girl is kind of what every teenage girl wants. It's something that that goes outside the box, and I don't want to say this is something that women fall for any more than men fall for. We all fall for the exotic, that which is not like what we have seen. And you might hear that and take some racial connotations by it, but no, there are some things that are far more exotic than anything else. And by exotic, I mean something we're not used to, something to which we are not accustomed. Women are not accustomed to men challenging them. Now, you may think that it's just perfectly natural for women to love bad boys, and to some degree, I guess maybe it is. But that's like saying men are naturally attracted to what the fuck is the thing? The pixie dream girl, the manic pixie dream girl. It's the element of chaos. Like men and women are both susceptible to being attracted to the element of chaos, be it the bad boy or the manic pixie dream girl. And they're both accustomed to being attracted to just like a normal human. Just a normal human with whom they can live their normal human lives. And we make this so complicated, but at the end of the day, it's why aren't normal humans attracted to normal humans? And as far as I can tell, normal men are attracted to normal women. But normal women are not attracted to normal men. Normal women are attracted to these fucking cartoon characters that they see in the movies. Like, even more so. I know there's this whole meme that men's brains have been destroyed by porn, while women's brains have been destroyed by Disney. Well, okay, but even nowadays it takes a while before boys even see porn, right? But women see Disney like as soon as they can fucking see things. And boys see Disney as soon as they can fucking see things. And so this whole idea that boys' brains have been fucked up by pornography and girls' brains have been fucked up by Disney. All right, interesting idea. Counterpoint, boys don't see porn until like a long time into their internet career. Whereas everyone sees Disney, right? The thing that you're claiming destroys boys' brains, they don't see until long into their adolescence. Whereas the thing you're claiming destroys girls' brains is right there. It's in the Disney movies, it's in the fucking television, it's in the universities, it's in the schools, it's in the... I completely forgot what the fuck we were talking about.
stereotypes and
okay, yeah. So I'm reading it again and just go
the toxic
how
stereotypes
the
that
fuck
both
did I
sexes
get
fall
here?
for.
But whatever, that'll do. I don't fucking remember.
Well, you're right though, and it's kids get exposed to. Well, let me put it this way with Disney. All right, if you took Beauty and the Beast, Disney's version of Beauty and the Beast, and you took Gaston, that everybody thinks of as the jerk that she can't stand him because he's so self-involved and blah blah blah. But if you made him the Beast, the personality that you would be inflicting the Beast curse on is not as bad as that of the guy who it was inflicted on in the eyes of the writer, right? Gaston was just an egotistical asshole about what a good guy he was to do the hunting for the community and make sure people were safe and take care of the like wood cutting and blah blah blah, all the things that it showed him doing in the movie. That essentially his role in the community was one of protector and provider, whereas the Beast was this rich asshole who had a party that was frivolous and stupid, and in the midst of a terrible snowstorm, a vulnerable elderly person came to his door, a little old lady came to his door begging to just come in and get warm and maybe have something to eat. And he turned her out into the snow. It's like he wouldn't have lost anything. He had so much of everything that it would not have been any hardship at all for him to just have his servants, give her something to eat and let her get warm in the kitchen before going on her way when she was ready. But he just couldn't stomach having her there. And so, he was a terrible person by the writer's standards. Now, granted, if you're a property owner, you have every right to decide who can and can't be there. But if you are a moral and ethical person, you also have compassion for your fellow human being. And if it doesn't do you any harm to help someone, it should feel good to help them. And, it should be something that it should feel bad to not help them. And so, in my eyes, he was at least as bad as Mr. Egotistical. The guy whose self-image was even bigger than he was. Right? So you put those two together and you get the men that are the protagonists and the love interests in the Twilight series. That all of the millennial chicks were just screaming themselves into oblivion over. And if you put the worst aspects of the two of them together with the Beast, you get the protagonist in 50 Shades of Grey. And that's the guy that I guess all the millennials and even some Gen Xers were creaming themselves over.
And that was just Twilight fanfic.
Yep, that was a Twilight fanfic. I remember reading that.
It wasn't until the Twilight movies the thing got popular because all the less popular girls at school liked Twilight and they got bullied for it because of the books. But it wasn't until the movies it became popular.
Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely a female quality to I don't know, go for the guy that seems to have all the worst characteristics.
The host was another one. It was written by the same woman that wrote the Twilight books. It's the same premise.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. And when you look at it, probably a lot. There's probably a whole genre of romance novels or whatever they're calling them now, smut books, where it's the taming of the beast, right? That he becomes a better person because he wants to be close to her.
And
And I mean,
the girl can control him through proxy violence.
Yep. Even there's even been movies that I've liked that when I realize later, you know what, this is just Beauty and the Beast, but with a different setting and a different different details plugged in for the story. As Good as It Gets is Beauty and the Beast. It's not quite the same Beauty and the Beast, right? He doesn't have all of his household members turned into utensils and shit, and he's not turned into an actual animal, but he's mentally ill, and he's a curmudgeon, and he's like actually women would think of him as an asshole. Although some of the stuff that he says is spot on, like the statement when she asked the one lady asked him how he writes women so well, and he says, "I think of a man, and then I take away reason and accountability." Most of the women I know, most of the women I talk to, that's at least to some degree that's true. But then later on in the movie, he flubs up initially and then tells her in words that are more flattering to her that she makes him want to be a better man. Right? And it's looked at as a really cool thing when a woman inspires a man to want to better himself. Women love that, right? How many movies are there where a woman decides she wants to be a better woman because she doesn't feel like she's good enough for the man that she's with? And it's treated as her saying the right thing instead of her beating herself up. Yeah. So she's taming the beast in that movie. She's making him lose a little bit of his arrogance and experience what she would see as personal growth, and he sees it as personal growth. And it's only romantic because they're both stereotypes, and he's the stereotype of a arrogant asshole, and she's the single mom stereotype. And it's only romantic because he's one-dimensional enough to really need somebody else, somebody like her, to make him want to experience personal growth, where I think most men just do anyway. But if the sexes were reversed, people would be like, how dare you portray a woman like that? You make me want to be a more responsible mother. Would it be an insult to him, or would it be misogynistic?
Both.
Because it'd be portrayed that way for sure. Both, huh?
Yeah.
I could see that. So the next thing is satisfaction with being single. See, she's not going to start talking about being self-partnered here, is she?
Smart money, son, yes.
Yeah. Here's a truth not so often praised. Many women are entirely happy and content to stay single. They feel complete within themselves and enjoy their own company. Mm-hmm. And she's probably a prominent member of the Navajo tribe too.
The Navajo tribe, founded in 1968.
Yeah. It's not about being against love or partnership, but about being at peace with oneself without feeling the need to adhere to societal constructs of marital bliss. My bullshit meter is going all the way over to the edge of the screen
It's-
there. I can't.
It's hard to say exactly when MGTOW was formed. but now that you're talking about all the things that women got from the government so that they could say, I don't need no man, my wealth seems to fall from some kind of sky with some kind of government insignia above it. So, yeah.
I don't know. When was Lyndon B. Johnson president?
I don't know.
Because he's
Before
responsible.
any of us was born.
He was responsible for most of it, and then Reagan followed suit.
But yeah, we're talking about things that exist beyond any government gates or even any government bills being passed. I mean, just like it's hard to pinpoint when feminism happened, it's difficult to pinpoint when MGTOW happened.
Yeah.
But feminism happened around the same time communism happened. Let's be fucking honest. We can't quite find the centroid, like temporally speaking, as to when communism happened or when feminism happened. Just like we can't find the centroid of when men's rights happened or when MGTOW happened. When I just that's a whole pool of statistics I want to throw on this whole situation like a bucket of water being thrown on a comatose patient. Like, when did any of this happen? Do we really know?
Yeah, it's honestly throughout history, right? Going back as long as there have been human civilizations, there's always been the hermit.
Yeah.
To the degree that the hermit is so iconic that it's one of the characters on the tarot card deck, right? The hermit. And it doesn't, what it represents isn't necessarily bad. But the hermit, the difference between the hermit and what this woman is describing, the hermit, the MGTOW, the grass-eating man, whatever you want to call the man who is self-sufficient and lives on his own and doesn't rely on relationships with women to build his happiness. They've usually been pretty rare in society, and they've generally been male. There haven't been very many women who are like that unless they're widows and they just don't want to marry again. But this woman is talking about living in a world where she can rely on all kinds of things that men have already done for her, and she can sleep around like a $3 hoe if she wants to. And so she doesn't need to make a relationship with anybody because she doesn't need a provider, she doesn't need a protector, and she doesn't need a companion. And she doesn't have to be loyal to anyone as long as she doesn't need loyalty from anyone. And that's, I think that's kind of a pathetic existence. And it's not that it's pathetic to throw off a lot of what society is doing. Like if she decided that she was going to live on under her own power, at least as much as a modern man does, and she decided, that she was going to not participate in the system any more than a modern man benefits from it. Then and she was somehow, you'd have to be able to enforce it. If you get a job, if you're a woman and you have an employer that pays you to do a job, you are benefiting from essentially affirmative action for women. I mean, you are benefiting from a number of things that exist specifically for women at men's expense. But if she was able to enforce, I'm not going to do any of that, and I'm just going to go my own way, that would not be a pathetic existence. But what she's describing here is pretending to have fulfillment when everything that she's written up to this point, all of numbers 1 through 7, right? Fear of losing independence, that's insecurity. Struggles with commitment, why? Insecurity. Concerns about financial stability, because she's not financially stable because she's undisciplined. And if you are undisciplined, you will also be insecure. That's insecurity. Instability of modern relationships, because women are not loyal. They're not secure. And they don't trust themselves. They can't. And they don't trust their partner, so they divorce. Right? So we have unreliability, we have insecurity, longing for personal growth, which means that you think that it ends when you are in a relationship. That's unaccountability. Means you can't be critical of yourself. If you can be critical of yourself, you can have personal growth till the day you start to die. Like for real die, not like you're dying your whole life, but actually your body starts shutting down. Past baggage and fear of repetition, which is lack of personal growth and lack of accountability. So we have insecurity, unreliability, and unaccountability. The desire for flexibility and spontaneity, here she describes the manic pixie dream girl. So again, insecurity, unreliability, unaccountability. So her claim to satisfaction, if you're insecure, you're not satisfied. Right? And if you're unreliable and you're unaccountable, you're not equal to a MGTOW. So that's why I think of what she's describing as a pathetic existence. So she goes on. A fulfilling career, supportive friends, close-knit families, and personal pursuits. All things, by the way, that women whine about if men want them. Just saying. They all contribute to her holistic happiness. For these women, singlehood is not the dreaded lonely state that it is often portrayed as. Instead, it's an empowering choice that emphasizes their individuality and contentment with self-love above all. Oh, these are the self-partnered women. And yeah, this brings us to our crucial final reason: pure and simple satisfaction with being single. Bullshit.
No, self-love is not a thing. I mean, it depends what religion you're approaching it from. And I guess most of them have some kind of idea of what self-love is. But when you dig deep into any of them, or if you dig deep into any spiritual or logical like approach to this, love means the affection you have for other people. It means the appreciation you have for other people. Like if you were the only thing in the universe, if it was just you floating in an infinite nothing forever, there would be no such thing as love. There would just be you and yourself. You'd just be you just implode into yourself with logic and reason and stuff like that. The crazy thing about this universe is that it doesn't allow for that. It only allows for multiple points of inspection, points of perspective. It has multiple organisms is something that biologists would call them. multiple points of infusion of conscience. Things that think they are the center of the universe, and there's a bunch of them all over the place. But the reason they work so well together is because they figured out that there are different kinds of them. like even going all the way back to like bacteria. There were some bacteria that could photosynthesize, and there were some bacteria that could not, and so they ate the ones that photosynthesize. Like it goes even before we had sexual organisms, even asexual organisms, like understood that there were like two different things. And you'd think that these 4 billion years after even bacteria sort of went, hey, what if we got together and made a binary system of like two different kinds of organism? That would imagine how much more diversity you could build from that. And people were like, yeah, that's good. Yeah, diversity, that's good. And they continued with that idea until they said, hey, is there any end in sight to this diversity thing?
Apparently not.
Apparently not.
Yeah.
Is there any end in sight to this to this push all resources from one sex to the other sex? Is there any end in sight for that? What if we just did that forever, and that's all we ever did? Like, once upon a time, all bacteria was just one sex, and they just fucked themselves into self-replication forever. But now we have two different kinds of eukaryote. It's not quite bacteria. It's eukaryote now. So now, what if we just have those two things, and all the energy just gets siphoned out of one into the other, and that's all we have to do. That's all we ever need to do. Do we ever need to grow beyond that? I would say yes. I would say yes, we do. I would say yes, there is a layer of complexity above that. But alas, I live in a world with feminists, and they disagree. They think everything, literally everything, should be siphoned from one of these sexual eukaryotes to the other sexual eukaryote, from the male one to the female one, and that's all they will ever do. And sometimes I wonder if it's been a waste of my time to argue with people who are less intelligent than a eukaryote from 4 billion years ago. But then I go, no, yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds about right. Yeah, that's about where I am. That's about where I feel like I am. I feel like a clump of cells at the bottom of the ocean, trying to argue with other clumps of cells at the bottom of the ocean why we shouldn't be doing what we appear to be doing.
That's about how I feel when I talk to women about reproductive responsibility, right? That you are responsible for your reproductive choices. That seems to take us from clumps of cells at the bottom of the ocean to Hannah versus the volcano. Or the volcano. But yeah, it gets weird. And the thing is, yeah, there's always been a few people that just aren't going to choose to partner with others. And there's the whole spectrum from need to have people around all the time and need to have consistent and frequent, not acknowledgement, but reinforcement of one's connections with other human beings to barely needs connections with other human beings at all in order to feel fulfilled in that particular need. Like, if I see people and get to have a conversation with some here and there once every couple of months, I feel like I've had all the human contact I need. Like there's that level all the way out to I can't spend 5 minutes alone or I feel like it's the end of the world. And which, I can't understand either end of that. I like to talk to people, right? But maybe I'm a little closer to the every couple of months end than the must have every 5 minutes end. And so I kind of sympathize with MGTOW on that basis. But my reasoning is because I do enjoy solitude as well, not because I'm so dissatisfied with having to share my interests with another person, right? Having to compromise my interest enough to have another person in my life and enjoy having common interests, right? I'm not. That doesn't enter into it. And what this woman has described is she doesn't want to commit to marriage because she doesn't want to stop being so selfish and frivolous. And I don't think that fits MGTOW. MGTOW don't want to be taken advantage of, lied about, kicked around, and then disposed of. There's a bit of a difference there. I think people should be able to recognize. But in the meantime, like that claim about satisfaction, she has a final reflection. Before we get to her final reflection, we have another super chow. Gary Thomas gave us $5 and said, "This article reminds me of the BWE, Black Woman Empowerment Community, on YouTube. Anything that has woman empowerment in it, I'm leery of. I don't even care what the modifier is."
Oh, you don't want to go down that rabbit hole. You don't want to go down that rabbit hole. Don't go down it.
Now I might have to. That's
Like, don't go down it.
I'm warning you, you shouldn't do this. Okay, now I gotta try it. How scary is it?
It'll make you hate black people.
I don't know. That now I really have to find out because it takes a lot to make me hate a group of people. There's only one person in my life that I've ever actually hated, and only for a while.
FBAs in particular. So, like, foundational Black Americans.
Oh, I
Now I have
already
to
can't
learn what
stand
that
them.
is.
Foundational Black Americans are the ones who claim to be the true people that made this country, that they were the slaves and descendants of the slaves that built America. So they're the super special Black ones. Yes.
I see.
Yeah.
So
And
think
that.
of it. So think of it that I'm the only gay in the village.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I see how that is. So, being on now, do they when they talk about that, do they talk about specifics like?
Yeah. So they don't view me as black, even though I am black.
I see, because you're not African.
Because he's British.
I'm British, yeah. So because they said I can't say the N word.
Oh, for fuck's sake. That's pathetic. Okay,
Yeah,
they
sad.
said I can't talk on certain subjects because we're not the same.
And why not? What is their specific logic?
Because I'm not Black American and I don't know what it's like to grow up in poverty.
Do they think poverty exists? Well,
Yeah,
first of all, poverty in America
they don't like Black British because they keep taking all the acting jobs. And when the John Davidson thing happened at the Baptist, a lot of FBA showed their asses that week because FBAs don't like people with disabilities.
Diesel Pete. They do realize that slavery existed in the UK too, right?
They don't.
No,
So
they don't. They really don't.
It was abolished in the UK before it was abolished in the US, but it did exist there.
It would be funny if it wasn't so fucking pathetic, but yeah, that's
and
what they
the, and
believe.
the British paid off the debt to slavery back in 2014 as well. So the British owed them nothing.
There we go. I kind of think the British paid their debt to slavery by abolishing it and setting the example.
Yeah, and
But,
they paid reparations as well. So
yeah,
A mistake from day one.
Yeah, I
That's
don't think
all I'll say.
reparations is a good thing. But yeah, I just and I say abolished. I will say they abolished it in obviously areas that were under their control because and this is the funniest part. Right. We have a lot of people in the US that are all about black empowerment and this and that, but they're also about converting black people to Islam. And the most prolific slavery market in the world
it's
anymore,
Arabs.
yeah, is Arabs. It's
And
in
Libya's the biggest slave trader as well.
Yep, it's in Islamic ethno-states. So religious and ethno-states. It's not in white-run European, Caucasian world countries. So, but
the only reason I know about the FBI is because I dabbled in those spaces years ago.
Yeah, I cannot imagine.
And I still do. So they don't really like me because I'm Black British and I say some out of pocket things as well. So they don't really like me that much.
Well, when people are being irrational and you throw logic and reason into the mix, they don't like you. That's par for the course. Right? So don't stop being rational. They're never gonna like you. Even if you become irrational with them, they'll still find a way to look down on you.
Even though they mostly talk about like dating stuff and they don't feel the dating scene's the same as they don't think that the dating scene's the same as in Britain and America. It's pretty much the same. We still go through the same stuff as you guys do. And the dating's like worldwide now, so.
And for me, it doesn't really matter because not dating, but just from listening to people who are and listening to the people who are talking about it and everything, I can see that. But in the meantime, we'll finish Gary's super chow. So the Black Women Empowerment Community on YouTube. He says, I watch channels like those partially because I'm a masochist. And all they talk about is how evil and useless men are and how they could run the world so much better because women, especially black women, are such better leaders. Apparently the world would be just one big campfire party if they ran everything. Yeah. And a campfire would be all we had. Women, if women ruled the world, many, many things would never have happened. Right? Many, many things would never have been invented, especially if they subjugated men the way they claim that men subjugated women. If they basically did what they have projected onto men, then men would not have been able to invent any of the things that they have invented. And yeah, you'd be lucky. You're right. Mangaka92 says we'd be lucky to have a campfire. So I think
the woman would be arguing who will set up the campfire and who will light it.
Yeah, they would be fighting about it, and they also would not be able. Have you ever tried to start a fire without matches or a lighter or anything like that?
It's very difficult.
Yeah, and it takes strength and endurance if you're trying to use friction, and it takes finesse if you're trying to use a spark. and women aren't necessarily all that great at either one of those things. So yeah, and yeah, mangaka, the women would be killing each other to use it. Yeah, they wouldn't gather around it; they'd be guarding it from each other. And it's my turn to have the campfire. No, it's my turn to have the campfire. And the next thing you know, they'd all be dead, all of them.
But what about the eusocial species like termites and ants and bees, where they have a queen, where they are matriarchal societies, and all the men buzz around the queen? And, such species have made some leaps and bounds, evolutionarily speaking. They haven't invented many tools,
It worked.
but I think they have some. So, there's something to be said for eusocial species, all of which surround around the queen. And so,
Well,
I don't want to sound like much of a communist, but
can you name one that doesn't live in something that is made out of dirt?
yeah,
Sweden?
no,
Sweden?
Or
I
or
can only
bodily
play devil's. I
secretions?
can only play devil's advocate
There we go.
when I'm doing this. But yes, eusocial species all are essentially not just gynocentric but matriarchal, and they all live in filth. And like,
Yes.
maybe they will inherit the earth the day that the human species dies, and I will give them that. But you'll notice I mentioned the human species just now, and that it lives in opposition to these insect species, because the human species is mammalian. It is capable of thinking higher than insects and their termite mounds and their fucking ant colonies and their beehives. We've sort of built cities, haven't we? Like everywhere, like all over the world. It's a bit better, isn't it? And I don't know. Whatever you want to say about eusociality, there's two ways of dealing with it, isn't there? Like,
Yeah,
there's the gynocentric way where you're termites and you build a mound of fucking dirt in the desert, and there's the androcentric way where you build civilizations that could go to fucking Mars. I'm just saying.
and you grow your own food, so you don't have to rely on the weather to provide
that too,
it for
but then
you.
you go to fucking Mars. That's what
Yeah.
I'm talking about.
Oh, just wait. In the next century, maybe in the next 20 years, they'll start figuring out terraforming in earnest, and they'll start doing it. But in any case, yeah, it is interesting if the women that think they should run everything actually ran everything. You name just about any invention throughout history that led to things we rely on today and really couldn't live without today. Men came up with it. Women didn't. Right? But let's see. Then we have Xeranx gave us $5 and said, I saw a video a while back where the speaker suggested that Disney was for boys because of the love me for me trope. I'm inclined to think there might be truth there, given how we fall for the idea of the woman we develop interests in before we actually know them. When that impression dies, we have to learn to see our interest as what she really is. Yeah. The love me for me trope, it's a double-sided coin too, right? If you have met a person and you like their good characteristics, you have the same kind of values, either you like the way their mind works, you feel that they're highly intelligent and good conversationalist, and their goals in life are solid, and you like where they're going with that, and you want to be on that journey together, and so on, right? But maybe their looks aren't exactly what you had imagined your partner would look like. You don't necessarily ask them to get plastic surgery or dye their hair or cut it or make it longer or that kind of thing. You might say, when you do this, I like the way that looks, but you don't want to change everything about the way they look if you're mature. If you're a woman, on the other hand, he wears the wrong clothes, he has the wrong haircut. If he has a beard, he should shave it. If he doesn't have a beard, he should grow one. He needs to pluck his eyebrows, unless, of course, they're slim, in which case he needs to beef them up. Right? He's too short. He's too tall. You hate the dad bod. You hate how skinny he is. His muscles are too big. His muscles are too small. And he drives the wrong car, and you wouldn't have picked to live in that neighborhood. And maybe you don't like his mother, and maybe you don't like his sister, and you want to get rid of all of his friends because you want his attention only on you. And but he pays too much attention to you, and he's way too needy, and you wish that he would find a hobby. But if he gets a hobby, that's the wrong hobby, and he shouldn't be doing that, because only kids do that. An adult would have a hobby that has some kind of function to it, right? Even though even video games has a function. And in fact, the airlines are now recruiting video gamers to become air traffic controllers. Therefore, it's a skill building thing, but it's still wrong. And if he is into a hobby that creates things or does something functional, it just takes too much of his time. It's too noisy. It's too dirty. It's too this. It's too that. She will find fault no matter what you do. And with that, I think I might have just matched. Oh, I can't think of her name. The libertarian on the 5, I think it is, or the Greg Gutfeld show on Fox News, that had that rant about women and their appearance. But this is pretty much the way it is, right? But women want to be loved for who they are. Women don't want a partner to want them to change. And God forbid, because he's worried about her health, right? Like when I started complaining about my weight, and I wanted to get a membership at a gym and start going and working out and everything, my husband did not pitch and moan and, it's going to take time away from you being at home. He went with me. And we worked out together. It was kind of neat. I had my own personal cheerleader, and even though he had an easier time of it than me because he's in better shape than I am, I had a cheerleader the whole time, every time we went. But a lot of women wouldn't do that with a guy. They would just bitch that he was too fat, and then tell him that he needs to do something about it. But they won't change the way they cook. Right? They won't stop buying junk food. They won't stop eating it themselves in front of him, and they're certainly not going to work out with him. If they do work out, it'll be doing something on their own. And it's kind of sad. I did marry a keeper. FL tourist, Florida tourist, said, "You married a keeper, Hannah." No, he didn't have to go with me, but he did go with me. Who was that one? It's just jumped up. Come on, I think that's Senior Sticks. Yep. If he didn't, but it was helpful to me that he did. Like it helped it helped me, and I was grateful to him that he did. It was really a kind thing for him to do that. And it made a big difference in my ability to exercise the self-discipline I needed to go and do that. So it was definitely a kindness, not a requirement. And it was definitely appreciated. And he is just you guys have no idea. I really did marry up. You know, I married up in a different way than most women think of, right? He didn't have more money than me, and I didn't really care about it. He had better character than me, and that he pulled me up, and that was really cool. And I wish I could show you guys from the inside what that was like. I'm a much happier person now because of that too. But in any case, we will get to the last little bit here. She says, oh gosh, this is such drivel. She says, human emotions and mannerisms, including the decision to marry or not, are fascinatingly complex, weaving together individual experiences, societal norms, personal beliefs, and much more. Which means absolutely nothing when you really think about what she just said. Like, there's no... Like, she said a whole lot of nothing there, guys. She said human beings are human. She said human beings are individuals. And relationships are relationships.
Maybe she just figured that out. Maybe that just dawned on her.
She's like a feminist Pokemon just saying buzz concepts instead of, like Pokemon run around saying only their names. Feminists run around saying only how stupid they are. The choice to marry or not is a dichotomy. Instead, it's a spectrum that features a plethora of reasons, like the one we've delved into today. It's still a dichotomy. Yes or no is a dichotomy. Dipshit. The reasons might be a spectrum. The reasons for your yes or the reasons for your no might be a spectrum, but yes or no is literally a dichotomy.
She's reminding me of a different kind of spectrum.
Oh, yeah.
She might be on it.
There's this thing that writers do. Right? Now, granted, turns of phrase can be clever. People can cleverly put together sets of words to create a mental image and also tickle the funny bone or tickle the fancy or touch the heart. All those things are true. But then there's this other thing that happens where a writer feels clever but isn't. And so they bloviate or they throw in a bunch of things that don't match and mingle very well, but sound clever to them, like turns of phrase that sound clever to them, and they can't conceive of improving on the thing that they have created because they like the individual parts of it, but it looks like somebody tried to imitate Picasso and ended up imitating a garbage dump instead by accident. But they like each of the individual pieces of garbage, and so they will not edit that. And then they publish it, and it looks like this article. I'm just sorry. I hope she never hears this. Oh my god. The choice to marry or not isn't a dichotomy.
Oh Lord. He needs
The
to hear this.
Cadillac isn't a car. It's a vehicle. Remember, these reasons don't suggest a disdain for marriage or partnership. Instead, they echo the individual truth of each woman, their dreams. My truth, guys, not your truth. My truth. My truth is different from your truth, but they're still true, even if they contradict each other.
I don't like people say my truth. It's very annoying.
Mm-hmm. Anytime somebody's telling you their truth, what they are saying is, forget about the facts. I'm going to believe what I want to believe. Because a yes or no question isn't a dichotomy. I'm never going to get over that. Their fears, ambitions, their personal narratives. Cadillac is a lifestyle. Yes, Cedar Sticks. There you go.
Look, I wanted a blue car, but I got a red car. That you have committed a violence upon me. If you do this unto me.
I wanted to do FIFA game, but I got last year's FIFA game instead.
There we go. Emil Forcina says, I think it's them turning tautology and solipsism toward themselves, Mrs. Wallen. And that is true. Yep. And then the next comment, and there's the solipsism directly exemplified. That must have been the my truth thing. Personal narratives. Now she's going to quote Susan B. Anthony. Susan B. Anthony, a woman's rights activist.
She also hated black people.
Picasso, an artist. Profoundly said. Yeah, this is that I feel clever. I'm going to garbage you to death. Independence is happiness. And perhaps for some women, this independence intertwines with their decision to remain unmarried. But it's a personal journey for every woman, as unique and diverse as they are. In the end, what matters is their happiness, fulfillment, and the choices they make to honor themselves above all else. And that, right there, is the solipsism. Right? That's narcissism. Honoring yourself above all else.
You never hear this from the manosphere, by the way. Not from any corner of the manosphere. None of us are saying you should value yourself above God. Like, whether or not we believe in God, there's all kinds of facets to this fucking thing they call the manosphere, and obviously it's all being concentrated into these rich assholes who are just exploiting anyone. And you know, even they are not quite understanding the idea. I just said, what was it? It was something about men and God, and something about how there is something above yourself as men. Yeah, that was it. Women are being taught that there is nothing above themselves as women. That not only that humanity is the greatest thing ever, but that the female aspect of that is the greatest thing ever. And I don't hear that said anywhere in the manosphere or in the red pill sphere, or even anything going back to fucking Leonardo da Vinci or fucking Isaac Newton. None of that was saying that men are better than nature or better than God. No, it was always that men are these agents put in this world, created by God or something, and it's up to men to figure out had to divine their way through these incredibly tiny veins of nature. And men have set about doing that. Whereas only in the last century or so, women have been presented with this idea that, yeah, there is no divinity, and if there is a divinity, it is you. You are the angels. I know the Bible depicted angels as a wheel within a wheel with infinite eyes, but at a pinch we'll call them males. But nowadays you'll see the media that all angels are depicted as women, and much that way all religions have been cucked into depicting their angels as women, but they're not.
It's funny because they used to be portrayed as men, and so that was something that changed. But in reality, according to the Bible, in heaven they are neither male nor female. So they would look more gender neutral.
But on Earth, there are men and women, and they have different properties. And to be perfectly honest, I think men are closer to God than women are.
Well,
I know,
if you
I know
if you
that's,
look at
that's a controversial thing to say.
if you look
but-
at the biblically accurate description of how each sex was created, it is the most accurate thing to say, because God created man in his image, and then man was lonely, and then God created woman. Right? So
Plus,
man would look more like God than woman would. Women look different from men. We would look different from God.
plus,
That would make sense.
man has shown some aptitude in commanding nature. Woman has only shown aptitude in commanding man.
Yeah, not very much though. I mean, we make demands, but we command the way a baby commands. We don't command the way a leader commands. Right? So it's there's a big difference. Right?
Indeed,
and
women command humans, men command humans, and
animals.
Beyond, yeah.
Well, and women command through need, and men command through competence. And big difference there. Huge.
It's the inner shell and the outer shell. It's not that complicated. It's just got an awful lot muddied recently.
That thing about honoring themselves above all else, the thing about that sticks in my craw the most is that women don't always even understand concepts like honor. Right? When they say stuff like that, they talk about honor and respect. They're talking about being venerated, and they're talking about being coddled and flattered. They're not talking about being recognized for having established and earned a degree of trust in their consistence, and in their competence, and in their character. They're not talking about being recognized for having done something important, helpful, or benevolent, beneficial to others, special or unique, or historically unique. Nothing like that, right? They're just talking about being treated with some sort of undue reverence because they're women and because they have feelings. And when men talk about that, they usually talk about who they honor and who they respect more than they talk about who should honor and respect them. even when they deserve honor and respect. And in fact, the ones that I've met and known personally who deserve the most honor and respect out of the people that I know are usually the ones who are demonstrating how to honor and respect others. And they usually have lived their lives in some kind of service to others. And there, Mr. 303, you have nailed it. Honor is not about you, right? That is why women don't understand it.
That's great.
It's not. You can't be a narcissist and understand honor. Senior Sticks gave us $2 in a super chat, and the super chat just jumped off my page. There we go. And said, Hannah, did you not hear of Eat, Pray, Love? I will guarantee you, I've heard of it, heard of the title 1,000 times. I have never watched it. I couldn't tell you who's in it or what it's about. I wouldn't give a flying fuck about it. But I'm assuming it is one of those female fantasy stories. So
it's this article.
is it this? That's sad. That's so sad. So she finishes up with whether putting off marriage or walking down the aisle, the journey of womanhood continues to evolve and flourish. Now, she just earlier in the article acted like you stop evolving and you stop flourishing the minute that you tie the knot, like it's a noose around your neck. And that, she says, dear reader, is something worth celebrating.
Does she think she can evolve without men? Does she think that's how that works?
She just
I think she
basically
probably
said
does.
life goes
I
on.
think that is kind of how that works. They think women can evolve without men. They're not interested in what the word evolve means or the branch of science to which it pertains. No. Women are already more evolved than men. Let's just take that as read, as though that's a thing that's biologically possible. Women are more evolved than men.
You know, not tonight, obviously, but this makes me feel like it is about time to revisit the Not My Fault fairy tale, my fractured feminist fairy tale. It was an opener for HBR Talk, and I don't know if I should replay the old opener or read it to you guys as an article. But I think that this discussion has made me think we need to do this next week because, oh my God, my brain is partly dead now because of this woman's article.
Liquefied mostly, yes. Mm-hmm.
She killed brain cells.
I'm gassed now. I'm just gassed.
Eat, Pray, Love was a book as well.
That doesn't surprise me. Yeah, that really, really doesn't surprise me.
Think of Sex and the City, but it's just one obnoxious woman traveling.
So it's he didn't want to title it "I Was a Little Hoe for a Minute."
No, because that will require accountability.
Of course. So she said,
in the book, she divorced her husband and went traveling all over the world.
And fucked everything that moved.
Yeah, and ate food. And ate food while she did it.
So let's see. She was disloyal, and then she went off to be narcissistic and engage in gluttony and lust.
Yeah. Even the feminist movie critic hated the movie, and he's a feminist.
I would
hate it.
Yeah, I could see that. I would hate the movie. It sounds like a terrible movie. It sounds like a terrible book.
Sounds like all the movies.
Shit. I want to see a movie where the main character is a female lead, but she's an absolute clusterfuck dipshit. And she meets a guy who is better than she is. Like on all accounts, he's got better character. He's better established in his adulthood. He has made better choices before meeting her, and he's in a low point in his life for other reasons that are beyond his control, like he's had some sort of an illness or he's been a victim of abuse or some shit like that. But in terms of his character and his personality, they're impeccable, and she's inspired to become a better person because of him instead of the other way around. Like grows up because of him instead of the other way around. I'll bet women would hate it, but it would make a great movie. But
Women would hate it because it's misogynist. Good luck pitching that to Hollywood executives without without sucking at least 12 dicks, Hannah. I mean, for heaven's sake.
In the movie, the Amy Schumer movie that you're talking about, J.O. Balls, does she admit that she's the asshole, that she's a cunt in the movie and has to be a better person?
Oh no,
Or does she just...
the movie he's thinking of is Trainwreck.
Is she still a train wreck at the end of the movie?
Yeah.
Then it's not the movie that I'm talking about. At the end of the movie, she has to actually be a better person. She has to be able to have admitted that I'm being a dipshit and I need to straighten out my act. I need to become a nicer person, a better person, make smarter choices, appreciate this man, and show him that I can be worthy of his attention.
Labyrinth! Sorry, I was sat here trying to think of any example of any movie that's ever... But Labyrinth wasn't about a woman appreciating a man. It was about a teenage girl appreciating a baby boy.
But she was at least... I do love that movie.
It's the closest I can think of. A woman
she did learn that
her
family values were more important.
A woman appreciating a man, nowhere in Hollywood, anywhere.
Yeah, I can't think of one either. But yeah, Labyrinth is a good movie because she does start out solipsistic and selfish, and she learns that she values her family more than she thought. So Trainwreck is probably the closest then. According to Jail Balls, yes, she improves, but still a train wreck. So she tried. Well, that raises Amy Schumer a little bit, in my opinion, by a slight bit.
It's not a man try, it's a woman try. So you got to lower that standard a little bit lower.
So Mule Forcina says it's not uncommon for that to be an element of the Tsundere archetype. Now, let's see, the Tsundere, I don't know. That's not the... That's not the obsessive woman, is it? The lovesick woman archetype, is it? Because that seems... Spirited Away is a good example. She's a little girl, but that's not the obsessive... I could see that. Now, I haven't watched Bridget Jones's Diary. Does she learn to make more responsible... Yandere is obsessive. Okay, so Tsundere, I don't know what that one is. Bridget Jones's Diary, does she learn to be more responsible for herself, take more accountability, and appreciate the man that she learns it from? Because that would be neat. Oh, Tsundere is being a bitch. Yeah, I could see that. So, but I don't expect to see a gender reverse of like there's a lot of stories where you have Beauty and the Beast, and he wants to become better to be with her, but there isn't really a full equivalent where the woman has to recognize in herself what a terrible person she is. Like in Beauty and the Beast, Beauty has to come to terms with in the actual story. Beauty has to come to terms with the fact that she's been a bit narcissistic, um, treating her community of perfectly good neighborly people that cared enough to actually come try to rescue her, as if they were boring and beneath her and provincial and so on, and judging the Beast by his looks when she first sees him and so on. Um, so both of them were in some ways the Beast. But I don't know very many modern stories that are like that.
Man Without a Face, star Mel Gibson.
Which one?
Man Without a Face with Mel Gibson. Does that count?
Without a Face. What was the first word?
Man Without a Face. It came out in the
Man
early
Without
90s.
a Face.
Yeah.
I never saw that movie. I didn't know that existed.
Okay.
Was there a woman in that movie who was acknowledged herself as a dipshit, an unaccountable dipshit, and
She had to
learned
see
from him?
past. She had to see past his like marking and stuff like that. So
Ah, that is neat. Yeah, that might be a similar example to Beauty and the Beast. That might be a very similar example. So the story of Bridget Jones, according to Murder of Crow, is she goes out with 20-plus year younger man and all about the boy. And
in
guess what? It's celebrated all over. Is that?
in the fourth movie, she goes out with a black guy.
Oh, I see. I see. Now, what women want, that's more about a man kind of learning that women hate him, isn't it?
Yeah, basically.
In any case, I should end it because it's actually 9:30. So I will thank. Yeah, you guys will have to leave some examples in the chat, or in the comment section. Talk about the movies where the female protagonist has her "oh my god, I'm the asshole" epiphany, realizes that she has to improve herself because the man that she's hankering after is better than her.
Tom Cruise in Legend.
Yeah. Dark Kikimura gave us $5 in a super chow and said, "You're forgetting the bearer of light, Doc. They have no problem depicting that angel as male." Yeah, there's another angel that always is depicted as male, almost always. And once in a blue moon, this one's depicted as female, but almost always death is male. But yeah.
There was a female Gabriel in the movie Constantine.
Yep, and there's a female death in there's some series on Amazon that I was watching a while back. Not Amazon, it's on might be on Netflix.
Lucifer?
No, it's not Lucifer. It was Lucifer hadn't started yet when this was on.
I think this could be another subject for next week.
Sandman. But yeah. Anyway, but
that got cancelled because of Neil Gaiman's stuff.
Yep. So, in any case, I will thank everybody for listening, and all of my co-hosts for going through the slog with me, and all of the ideas. And Thanks, Brian, very much for going overtime again with us. Good night, all.
Word.
Men's right activists are machines, dude. Okay? They are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have like a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.